full reviews, he's the hungry ferret.
Hey everybody! So today we're going to take a look at the HyperChiller. I've been looking for a way to make iced coffee. I found that a lot of beans benefited from going from hot to cold right away. This generally will give you more floral notes and other flavors that you might have not been able to get. Another problem is the amount of time it takes to make it. It does take a little bit of time for the ice to cool the hot coffee. This HyperChiller has a capacity of 12.5 ounces, but for our testing we're going to do a little bit less. I actually found it's best to use a little bit less so you can swirl the liquid more. I find it funny that a lot of coffee shops charge a lot more for ice drinks. There's many hacks out there to save money at Starbucks by buying hot coffee and pouring it over ice, which is free from them. Since the HyperChiller works so fast, it doesn't require that much more time. There's problems making iced coffee the traditional way. This requires you to readjust your ratios for the double strength, and hopefully it works out. So let's take a look inside to see what's in the packaging. You have the HyperChiller itself and an instruction manual. The manual instructs you how to assemble, clean, and use the chiller. First thing first is to take apart the HyperChiller. So you have the outer container, the outer core, and the inner core. In each of the stainless steel cores, this is a water level indicator. This is how much water you're supposed to fill the cores up to. I filled the water up to the lines. It's definitely not all the way. This totally makes sense because you gotta have room for the ice to expand. And now we're going to reassemble. We're going to put the inner core back into the HyperChiller. And remember, this inner core goes into the middle of the coffee. So the stainless steel only touches the coffee. When handling the HyperChiller, be careful, there is holes in the top for expansion. You might get a little spillage if you hold it upside down. No big deal, it's just water. Now you take the outer core, and you pour that liquid into the big container. It's because the coffee actually goes into the outer core. The ice surrounds the outer core, and that's how it cools the outside of the coffee. So the coffee is sandwiched in between two ice cores, and that's how it's effectively able to chill your coffee. So you have water in this container, and you insert the outer core and inner core into it and screw it in. Now the manufacturer suggests 12 hours of freeze time, but I found you could start using it within about 6. I have here a little bit more than 9 ounces of liquid. This is generally the amount of liquid that comes out of my pour over. And here's the HyperChiller after overnight freezing. I heated the water up to 190 and it has cooled down about 4 degrees from the microwave. This is generally the temperature that most people have their freshly brewed coffee at. And with this water, I'm going to simulate a cooling of a coffee cup. With pouring, I found it's easier if you pour away from the entry hole. So have the entry towards you, just like in the video. And in the middle of pouring, I started the timer. Every now and then, I'm going to swirl the liquid around in the HyperChiller. This also speeds up the cooling process. It takes me about 30 seconds to pour the entire cup in there. The problem with cold brew, it mutes a lot of flavors. There are plenty of beans that are perfectly alright with using cold brew, and it tastes great. But then there's others, where it'll just be like a regular bean. So then I saw the HyperChiller and thought this might be a good solution to my problem. So let's take a look at what happens to the water after 47 seconds. The temperature has dropped significantly. It's currently at 83 degrees. It's cool, but not cold. This just shows the amount of energy that the HyperChiller could absorb right off the bat. Now we're going to pour the liquid back in to continue to cool it. Again, be careful when you're pouring in the liquid. Don't pour too fast. You're going to spill some of it. Normally what I do in the morning is, when I make the coffee, I pour into a HyperChiller and I'll just let it sit and go on for the rest of my morning. You know, I'll be in the bathroom getting ready, getting dressed, putting on my shoes, packing up. And then hopefully by the time I've done all that, my iced coffee will be ready. And that's what I'm trying to show you here. Yes, most likely it'll be done in a couple of minutes, but in reality, I'm going to be doing something else to be more efficient. At this point, the water has been in the HyperChiller for about 3 minutes, which is not a very long time if you really think about it. It's able to cool the liquid down to the 50s, which is cold. Glass has condensation, and it's frosty. This liquid is cold. When you drink this liquid, it's definitely going to be cold. The HyperChiller is actually very easy to clean. Generally all I do is just rinse it out and put it back in the freezer. I was able to do 2 back-to-back coolings. It just takes a little bit longer the second time, maybe another 2 minutes. Every now and then you want to change out the water in the cores. This is to make sure that no funky stuff is growing in there. It doesn't impart a weird taste due to the stainless steel it uses. This definitely preserves the flavors within the coffee without compromising it. And the setup is actually pretty simple to use. When you get a chance, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.